everyone, my name is Chavi Garg and my topic is LIBOR, known as the London Interbank Offered Rate. It's a benchmark interest rate at which major global banks lend it to one another in the international interbank market for short-term loans. The LIBOR serves as it's a globally accepted key benchmark interest rate that indicates borrowing costs between banks. The rate is calculated and published each day by the Intercontinental Exchange, but scandals and questions around its validity as a benchmark rate resulted in it being phased out. According to the Federal Reserve and regulators in the UK, LIBOR was phased out on June 30 of 2023 and it was replaced by the Secured Overnight Financing Rate. LIBOR 1 week and 2 month USD LIBOR rates stopped publishing as of December 31, 2021 as a part of the phase out. LIBOR impacted consumers just as much as it did to the financial institutions. The interest rate on various credit products such as credit cards, car loans, adjustable rate mortgages fluctuated based on the interbank rate. There was a downside to using the LIBOR rate. Some mutual funds may be attached to LIBOR, so their yields may drop as LIBOR fluctuates. Even though the lower borrowing costs may be attractive to the customers, it does also affect the returns on certain securities. Coming back to the history of the LIBOR rate, it was devised as a medium for a uniform measure of interest rates across the financial institutions, and it became necessary as the market for interest rate-based products began evolving during the 1980s. Further streamlining led to the evolution of BBA LIBOR in 1986, which became the default standard interest rate for transacting in the interest rate and currency-based financial dealings between financial institutions at the local and international levels. Since then, the LIBOR has undergone many changes. The major one is when BBA LIBOR changed to ICE LIBOR in Feb 2014 after the Intercontinental Exchange took over the administration. The currencies involved in calculating LIBOR have also changed. While the new currency rates have been added, many have been also removed or integrated following the introduction of the euro rates. The 2008 financial crisis saw a significant decline in the number of tenors for which LIBOR was calculated. Coming back to the scandal of the LIBOR rates, major banks allegedly colluded to manipulate the LIBOR rates. They took traders' requests into account and submitted artificially low LIBOR rates to keep them at their preferred levels. The intention behind the alleged malpractice was to bump up traders' profits who were holding position in LIBOR-based financial securities. Reports have also been submitted by the Wall Street Journal in 2008 that it involved investigations by the US Department of Justice because of contributing to the LIBOR determination process, which faced regulatory scrutiny. Major banks including Barclays, ICAP, Rabobank have faced heavy fines. Heavy actions were taken against their employees who were found to be involved in the malpractice. The scandal was also one of the primary reasons why LIBOR was shifted from BBA administration to ICE. When we talk about the scandal, the history of LIBOR, we also talk about the benefits of LIBOR. Despite the rate-setting scandals, LIBOR rates provide a useful benchmark for the level of activity in the global economy. A falling LIBOR indicates that it is becoming easier to borrow money, which possibly indicates forecasting an increase in economic activity. A rising LIBOR means that it is getting harder to borrow money, meaning businesses' activity is likely to slow down. These rates are particularly significant to a prospective borrower. When you borrow money from a bank, LIBOR rates may account for a part of your interest rate. A high LIBOR means that you may have to pay a higher interest rate on your mortgage or personal loan, while a low LIBOR means a more favorable rate. Lastly, I go ahead with the uses of LIBOR. Standard interbank products like forward rate agreements known as FRA, interest rate swaps, interest rate futures, options and swaptions, whereby options provide buyers with the right but not the obligation to purchase a security or interest rate product. The commercial products like floating rate certificates of deposit and notes, variable rate mortgages and syndicated loans, which are loans offered by a group of lenders. Hybrid products like collateralized debt obligations, CDO, collateralized mortgage obligations, CMO, and a wide variety of accrual notes, callable notes and perpetual notes. The consumer loan related products like individual mortgages and student loans. Thank you everyone. This was the presentation by me and Parth Parashar on the topic LIBOR.